What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news and rumors you need to know, including: has WWE changed their mind on a CM Punk return? Vince McMahon addresses Dana White drama. Vince McMahon reveals WWE's new home. WWE officially cut ties with Ronda Rousey. Is the new WWE game being dedicated to Bray Wyatt? And much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new website, Wrestlelamia.com. Now let's do the intro and get straight into our first story. Now, first story looks like WWE changed their mind on a CM Punk return. Now, top story today takes a look at an ongoing saga relating to CM Punk potentially returning to WWE. A few weeks ago, it was reported by several notable sources that WWE had no interest in bringing Punk back to WWE, and now Dave Meltzer has provided yet another update stating that WWE's stance has escalated to a strong no. Speaking on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer stated, "I was told it's a no. That doesn't mean forever, it's wrestling, but I've heard nothing new. My gut is that if something happens, maybe they would want to keep it a secret, but I was told it's a pretty strong no, and you know that's the deal." Despite numerous reports circulating surrounding Punk's status, fans on social media still firmly believe that the former WWE and AEW World Champion is going to show up at Survivor Series next month in Chicago. What's your current stance on Punk's situation? Do you believe that he's WWE bound and WWE are just trying to keep it a top secret? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, a WWE legend believes CM Punk should sign with TNA. Now, even though it's reported that TNA would be interested in signing CM Punk, it's likely that TNA won't be able to match what Punk would want in terms of money. Nevertheless, WWE Hall of Famer Booker T, who has spent several years in TNA, believes that it would make sense for Punk to join the promotion. Speaking on his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker stated, "I look at it like this: if CM Punk was to go to Impact Wrestling and be a part of that crew down there, I think it's definitely something that it could work. I really do. I think there's a lot of young guys down there. I think there's a lot of young guys just in AEW that could learn and maybe look towards CM Punk for some guidance and whatever. I don't know how well that's going to work out or anything like that, but that's the way I see it." Although Booker is firmly behind the idea of Punk becoming a TNA star, Booker does issue a warning to Punk, and he states that his in-ring work will be spotlighted more than ever in the promotion. The one thing I could also think about with CM Punk going to Impact Wrestling, unlike AEW, unlike WWE, his wrestling is going to be more spotlighted on. Just because it's smaller crowds, everything's going to be seen. You're not going to be able to hide anything in the arena like that. One thing about getting older, you're going to lose a step. That's just the way it is. I just think it would be so much more noticeable. You'd be looking at CM Punk's work so much more than anything outside of what he'd be doing in TNA. I'm talking about promos. I'm talking about angles. You're going to be looking at his work more than anything, I would think. I think that's a position I wouldn't want to put myself in. Next up, Vince McMahon and The Undertaker make a rare appearance. Vince McMahon along with The Undertaker were in Saudi Arabia for last night's boxing match between Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury. Their appearance lit social media on fire, mainly because fans were focused on the fact that McMahon had finally shaved off the questionable mustache, but he was still unfortunately requiring the assistance of a cane to get from A to B. Next up, Vince McMahon addresses Dana White drama. In a surprising move, Vince and The Undertaker participated in a number of interviews before the boxing match, and in one interview, McMahon was put on the spot regarding Dana White. The interviewer from MMA Junkie would ask McMahon to comment on White, saying that McMahon used to try to screw him over, and this is what McMahon had to say as a rebuttal. "Please, I don't do business that way. Don't bust anyone's chops unless they get in the way. Dana and I get on very well. He's a really good guy. We're good partners and good businessmen. When you're good businessmen, you get along." What was humorous about the interview was that The Undertaker, who was standing there awkwardly, would find the situation hilarious, as the question had clearly riled McMahon up. Next up, Vince McMahon reveals WWE's new home. Speaking of Vince McMahon's interview with MMA Junkie, he would praise Saudi Arabia's commitment to sports entertainment before boldly declaring that Saudi is WWE's new home. Everything they're doing is so much. They're delving into the superior aspects of all sports entertainment. Everything that is the best in the world, it's going to be here. This has been pronounced, this is our home, WWE's home. The Undertaker would also weigh in on the subject, and similarly, the dead man had nothing but praise for Saudi Arabia. They're awesome. It's a commitment that they've been making to bring the absolute most outstanding sporting events and entertainment. They're trying to bring it here, and they're doing everything possible to make that happen. Next up, will Ospreay's WWE creative plans leaked? It was heavily reported over the past few weeks that WWE could make an offer to Will Ospreay. Ospreay is widely regarded as one of the best in-ring talents in the world, and obviously seeing the talented star face names such as Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins would be delivering big business for WWE. On the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed the possibility of Ospreay being WWE bound, and one idea that Meltzer had heard is the idea of Ospreay becoming the face of the brand new NXT Europe brand. One idea that was thrown out to me was NXT Europe built around Will Ospreay. Now, how much money are they going to spend on that? And the revival of NXT Europe starts, and that thing of obviously what happened with the original NXT UK and its effect on the independent scene in the UK. But at the same time, they didn't run live events, they just did TV tapings, so you just don't know. They've got the go-ahead from Endeavor to do it, so you don't know what that entails. If Ospreay does indeed sign with WWE and opt for a main roster contract, then he'll be required to relocate to the US. However, if he becomes a face of NXT Europe brand, not a ton will have changed in relation to his personal circumstances. If WWE proceeds with the NXT Europe idea, then that means that Ospreay won't be on the main roster and won't get to participate in numerous dream matches fans have been booking him in for years. What is the best move for him? Would utilizing him to launch NXT Europe brand be a smart move? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE officially cut ties with Ronda Rousey. WWE have officially cut ties with Ronda Rousey. The former women's champion has now been moved to the alumni section on WWE Superstar page, meaning that Rousey's WWE commitments have come to an end. Rousey is still evidently interested in wrestling as she's made an appearance at the Lucha Vavoom indie show, and Rousey had stated a number of weeks ago that she was retired from pro wrestling in UFC, but she's already seemingly changed her mind. Next up, Cody Rhodes dominating WWE merch sales. The American Nightmare Cody Rhodes continues to show that he's a certified draw for WWE. A new report from Fightful Select has indicated that Rhodes' merchandise is selling so incredibly well that he's outselling generic WWE merchandise, which is said to be extremely hard to do. Cody Rhodes continues to be a standout on WWE programming and is over at the merch table as well. In a rarity, Fightful Select learned and subsequently confirmed within WWE that Cody Rhodes was able to outsell generic WWE merchandise at some recent live events. This doesn't occur often, as generic merchandise generally includes basic WWE logo shirts, event merchandise, and title belts. Cody Rhodes does great sales with weight belts, which are a high ticket item as well, but he's had great success with merch since his return in 2022. We're told that of late, John Cena has been beaten Cody a couple of times, but generally it's Rhodes, Cena, or generic WWE merch topping the list. Now it's fair to assume that Rhodes is 100% going to be the next top guy for WWE, and fans are firmly expecting Rhodes to dethrone Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 in April. Next up, a new WWE game being dedicated to Bray Wyatt. It looks like 2K could be planning a tribute to the late great Bray Wyatt in a rather special way. According to BWE on Twitter, 2K may be dedicating the next installment of the 2K series to Wyatt's WWE career. For 2K, they believe that they will dedicate the game for Bray Wyatt's career. They're also looking into PvP new opportunities. It could end up being a different game than 2k24. I have no other updates, but we'll share when possible. This will be a wonderful touch, and a story mode based on Wyatt's career and all his different gimmicks would be fantastic, and a meaningful way to pay tribute to the former WWE champion. And finally, a top AEW star injured. Our final story today takes a look at some unfortunate news relating to a top AEW star. This week on Dynamite, the show went off the air with Bryan Danielson seemingly being checked over, and it looked like Danielson was injured. News on the matter went silent, so it was assumed that this was a work and Danielson was just fine. However, last night, PW Insider issued an update, and Danielson has indeed suffered a serious injury and will miss the rest of the year. For those who have asked whether the announced Bryan Danielson broke orbital bone was legitimate or not, we have confirmed with AEW sources that the injury is not storyline. Now it goes without saying that this is a significant blow for AEW. Bryan is arguably one of the finest performers in the world, and he's an integral part of AEW programming on a weekly basis. AEW will now be forced to go back to the creative drawing board and put any planned storylines involving the American Dragon on hold. We here at Wrestlelamia wish one of the all-time greats a speedy recovery. But there you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.